Conservative Party has a new leader, and that new leader is Honourable Pierre Poilievre, who is an MP from Carleton in the province of Ontario. He was elected with a commanding lead of 68.15% of the points on the first ballot on September 10th at the Conservative Leadership Convention. Pierre Poilievre defeated fellow candidates and fellow colleagues, MP Scott Aitchison, who is the MP in Parry Sound, Muskoka in the province of Ontario, who got 1.1% of the points, and also Leslyn Lewis, who's from Haldimand Northfold in Ontario. She's an MP there, who got 9.7% of the points, and former Quebec Premier Jean Charest, who received 16.7% of the points, and former Ontario MPP Roman Baber, who received 5% of the points. The total Conservative memberships was 678,708, of which 417,635 members cast their ballot, which is about 61.53% returned their ballot to the party headquarters to be counted for the election. And Pierre Poilievre won 70.7% of the total votes cast, which was 295,283 out of the full amount cast from the memberships. Now, this comes at a time where you compare that to Jean Charest, who won 11.6% of the votes with 48,651 votes, which is only marginally more than MP Leslyn Lewis. Lewis got, who was the avowed social conservative candidate in the race. She received 46,374 votes nationwide, which is about 11.1% of the vote, which is just 2,277 less than Jean Charest. And when it comes to Roman Baber, well, he won 5.4% of the vote, and Scott Aitchison 1.2% of the vote. Both Leslyn Lewis and Scott Aitchison are MPs. They'll head back to the House of Commons this fall. Roman Baber's plans, it's unknown whether he'll run for the next federal election. That's to be seen. And Jean Charest, in a video message, suggested that the party should unite. And he also said that he's going to be going back to the private sector. Now, Pierre Poilievre won the endorsement of former Prime Minister Stephen Harper, as well as most of the Conservative caucus. According to the leadership vote results, Pierre Poilievre also won the leadership in 330 of the 338 ridings across the country in a landslide victory on the first ballot. Pierre Poilievre, who won the 70% of the popular vote, ran a campaign with hundreds and thousands of people showing up to his rallies, where he made promises if he were to win the leadership and then the general election to become Prime Minister of Canada. Well, his promises were on energy. When it comes to that, well, Pierre Poilievre promised to cancel Ottawa's carbon tax and on consumer goods and build more pipelines. He said that Canada would rely on technology to tackle greenhouse gas emissions and not taxes. When it comes to government budgets, well, he said he would promise to enact a pay-as-you-go law that would cap federal spending at its budget amount and force it to find savings when something new is added. So if there's a new law worth spending, well, you'd have to find that budget. Pierre Poilievre said that emergencies such as natural disasters as well as pandemics would be exempt from the rule of pay-as-you-go. But new spending projects would require officials to look at existing budget and to find what they can be either cut or changed to curb the spending. When it comes to freedom of expression, well, he promised that the government led by him would promote free speech at university campuses and by withholding federal funding to institutions that do not commit to this freedom of speech. He also promised to appoint a former judge as a free speech guardian to probe any alleged violations. And Bank of Canada, well, that was a hot topic amidst inflation, where Pierre Poilievre pledged to adopt a bill that would subject the central bank to the federal auditor general. He also promised to fire Tiff McCallum, the Bank of Canada governor, as well as for running high rate of inflation. And Pierre Poilievre also promised to ban the central bank's proposed digital currency, although early on in his campaign, he pledged that you know, you can opt out of inflation, and what Canadians can do is to be able to have easier access to cryptocurrencies and bitcoins. Now, and when it comes to housing, well, Pierre Poilievre said that he'd force cities such as Toronto, Vancouver, which is where the most expensive homes are, and lead the trend for the rest of the country, to increase new home building by 15%, which is, and they would be under threat of losing federal funding. And this was an effort to bring down housing prices when there's more supply in the market, and to meet the demands. And he also promised a slate of other measures, including paying an extra $10,000 to municipalities for every new home that's built, and converting federal properties into affordable housing. On immigration, he promised to incentivize provincial governments to ensure licensing bodies rules on newcomer applicants within 60 days of arrival. This, Pierre Poilievre said, that would provide more clarity on if people can practice their profession in their home country when they're here in Canada, to address some of the shortages that there are in certain industries. He also said he would provide more study loans to those immigrating to Canada who need extra training to meet licensing requirements. Pierre Poilievre was born in Calgary, Alberta, to a mother who was 16 years old and of Irish descent. Pierre Poilievre's biological maternal grandfather, whom he said he met as an adult, was an Irish Canadian. Pierre Poilievre was adopted by his parents, who are of French descent, who are French Canadians, and shortly after being born, well, he was in Calgary, and then he, of course, relocated to Ontario, where he won in his first election in the 38th Canadian Parliament as an MP just at the tender age of 25. He was elected in 2004 for Carleton riding in Ontario. Now take a look at his first press conference as leader. I'm going to go to shots of his leadership win speech, and then today as day one of the Conservative leader and the official opposition leader. Here is his announcement. Take a look.
To replace an old government that costs you more and delivers you less with a new government that puts you first, your paycheck, your retirement, your home, your country. By tackling liberal inflation, we'll put you back in control of your life and your money. Le travail commence ce soir. It is yours, and I have so many people to thank. Merci à ceux et celles qui m'ont soutenu. And thank you to his wonderful partner, Nancy, for championing children with autism. Thank you. Against the wall in the 1995 referendum, you stood with courage and passion. You defended our country, and our nation will ever be grateful for your work. Thank you. Absolutely. Engineers and others who are immigrants to this country but are blocked from working in their professions for no other reason than that they come from another country. We'll team up with provinces to guarantee that within 60 days, an immigrant applying to work in their profession will get a yes or no based on their tested abilities, not based on where they come from. We will back up 30,000 small study loans for those in need of time off work to study up to the Canadian standard. Enough talking, remove the gatekeepers to get more doctors, more nurses, more engineers, and more inflation-proof paychecks for our brilliant immigrants. And we will restore the hope of safe streets, a hope that has turned into fear in all too many places after killings in Vancouver, Montreal, Toronto, and most recently, Saskatchewan. Weakened laws allow chronic and violent reoffenders out of prison early at great danger to our people. Instead of spending a fortune targeting licensed and law-abiding, trained and tested firearms owners, Conservatives will bolster the laws, bolster the borders, and put the real criminals in jail. Et nous redonnerons de l'espoir aux Québécois afin qu'ils puissent reprendre le contrôle de leurs décisions, grandissant en Calgary. Nos petits-enfants, Baby Cruz et Valentina, ils auront la langue française comme première langue, et la deuxième langue, évidemment, espagnol, et après ça, mon gouvernement, in a country where it doesn't matter who you love, or if your name is Smith or Singh, Martin or Mohammed, Chang or Charles, a country where the dreamer, the farmer, the worker, the entrepreneur, the survivor, the fighter, the ones who get knocked down but keep getting back up and keep going can achieve their purpose. A country where the son of a teenage mother adopted by 2 teachers can dare to run for Prime Minister of Canada. And so I'm issuing a challenge to Justin Trudeau today. If you really understand the suffering of Canadians, Mr. Prime Minister, if you understand that people can't gas their cars, feed their families, or afford homes for themselves, if you really care, commit today that there will be no new tax increases on workers and on seniors. None. Here's my commitment. We as Conservatives are always happy to work with any party to collaborate and extend and advance the interests of Canadians. We are. But there will be no compromise on this point. Conservatives will not support any new tax increases, and we will fight tooth and nail to stop the coalition from introducing any. We know the problem. The cost of government is driving up the cost of living. $500 billion of inflationary deficits mean more dollars bidding up the cost of the goods we buy and the interest we pay. He's added more to our national debt than all previous prime ministers combined, literally doubling our national debt. A high price to pay for all Canadians in the present. And I didn't want to talk about any of this while little Cruz was here, because I didn't want him on his birthday to find out how much of the national debt he owes as well. But the truth is, it's not only reckless for the future, but it is too expensive for the present to continue to pile on these debts. So that is why Conservatives offer practical solutions, like requiring the government follow the same rules families follow in their household budgets. Families know that budgets don't balance themselves. So when they bring in a new dollar of spending, they find a dollar of savings to pay for it. Quand ils ajoutent of savings to pay for it. That will contain the cost of government while taxpayers and the economy catch up. Let us keep the taxes, let's lower the taxes on our farmers, workers, and small businesses so that they can provide more affordable food, that they can build more affordable homes, and that they can produce the energy we need for the future right here in Canada. The future, yes, thank you. Listen, the dollars and cents are just the means to an end. We're not interested in having a more impressive accounting ledger for its own sake. We're doing this as Conservatives because we know that when government ruins the finances of the nation, it ruins the lives of its citizens. We know that every single dollar spent by government is paid by the working class taxpayer and the seniors of this country, either through inflation, debt, or taxes. We know that when excessive regulation and gatekeeping hold back our economy, it means holding back the aspirational dreams of hard-working people. We know that people are hurting across this country, and the way we transform that hurt into hope is by fighting for people's chance to achieve their dreams through hard work. I want every single Canadian to have the opportunity that I had, to come from modest beginnings, but to work hard every day, to make sacrifices, to be responsible, and to have all of those virtues pay off as they realize their dreams in their country, a country with a small government and big citizens, where the state is servant and the people are the masters.